Yo, what's good, NBA Nation? Welcome back to another episode of the NBA Report. It's me, your host, Alshis Harris, aka the Tradicaster. With me on the other side is my guy, Andrew Salop, aka the 1-2 combo. We got a packed docket today. We got to talk about the All-Stars, all right? We got the full list. We got the starters and the reserves. We got to talk about Celtics Lakers. We got to talk about Knicks Pacers. We got to talk about this Embiid stuff. Guys, there's so much to talk about today, and we're going to get to it all. But make sure to lock in. Hit that thumbs up button for your boys and make sure to subscribe to the channel. You already know what to do. Andrew, my man, how are you feeling today? How's it going on your side of the world?
Feeling great, man. You know, it's always great talking basketball with you. It's going to be a good one, man. It's going to be a good one.
For sure, man. For sure. We were talking, we already had our morning meeting. We already got some, it's going to be interesting, man. So
That
let's
could
start it
that
off.
that that could have been a podcast or a show, right?
That definitely could have been a podcast. That definitely could have been a podcast for sure. But let's hop right into it, man. Looking forward to this, especially with the All Stars. I love talking basketball with you. So, all right, let's start with the All Stars, man. We got the full list for the East and the West. So let me go through the East and talk about who the starters are and the benches. You got Giannis Antetokounmpo, Joel Embiid, Tyrese Halliburton, Damian Lillard, Jason Tatum as the starters. Then the reserves are Bam Adebayo, Paolo Banchero, Jaylen Brown, Jalen Brunson, Tyrese Maxey, Donovan Mitchell, and Julius Randle. That's your East. That's the East All-Stars. Now let's go to the West. The West is LeBron James, Luka Doncic, Kevin Durant, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Nikola Jokic. That's your five starters right there. Then you go to the reserves of Devin Booker, Steph Curry, Anthony Davis, Anthony Edwards, Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, and Karl Anthony Towns. Those are your All-Stars, your 2024 All-Stars. Andrew, first and foremost, what do you think about this All-Star list so far, man?
It's pretty solid. You know, there's definitely a few snubs here and there.
Mm,
I think JB probably should have started this year
I
on the
agree with
East.
that.
Yep, and he should be. We'll get to this, so you should be in the MVP conversation as well. But definitely a few snubs on both sides, and I see two big ones in the West, and definitely one on the East side.
I agree with you. And this is not even just my Knicks bias. I think, he should have started over Dame. I know you're a big Bucks guy. I know that's who you root for, but
We'll go with it for the show. We'll go with
yeah,
it.
yeah, for the show, we'll go with it. No worries. We all know about the Bucks agenda on your side. But anyway, like you go through the numbers, you go through the stats, you go through the impact this season. I mean, Brunson should have been a starter man over Dame. Halliburton, I understand for how impactful he's been for the Pacers. Even in the spot minutes that you saw last night against the Knicks, you see how efficient he is when it comes to scoring and passing that ball. But then for Brunson, he's just been as impactful for the Knicks. I mean, they're third right now in the Eastern Conference. I know that this was done prior to that happening, but still, the fact that you look at what Dame has done this season has been up and down. Brunson has cooked them every time they got when he's battled them. But I mean, that's just a stacked team. You got Giannis, you got Dame. It's just a different thing, man. You know what I mean? And it's different for the weight of what Brunson's had to do for the Knicks rather than Dame joining an already good Bucks team. And this is no shade to Dame. I think he still could have been an all-star, just not as a starter, man. I think when you calculate the impact, I know there's a lot of the fan vote. This is
Yeah.
where I blame media, man. And you saw it already. I blame guys like Stephen A. Smith, Candace Parker, Gilbert Arenas, where you have a large platform and you're poo-pooing what the Knicks do and not making sure the casual fans are tapped in as they did for Tyrese Halliburton, right? He should have gotten the votes. He should have been starter, but at least he's been noted as an all-star. That's the only thing I could say. But yeah, I agree with Brunson being a starter. He should have been a
Yeah.
starter.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I guess Dame brings over that West Coast fan votes as well because they got to watch him so closely for years. So, and now he has the Bucks fans and fans on the East Coast as well. I mean, he's been in the league a lot longer than Brunson. He's been playing at an elite level for years now. So, I think there is some carryover from the other seasons and just how beloved of a person Dame is. You know,
For
everybody
sure.
looks at him as one of the most loyal NBA players. So, there's definitely some carryover. You know, the fan vote is always very interesting. I mean, I remember what it was like Austin Reeves, and then there's been players from like other countries over the years that just like randomly get in the mix.
You
It's
know,
crazy.
we even have Kyle Kuzma getting up there in the ranks to the fan vote, and I get it. Like they have like a big Instagram following, the fashion, everything that goes
Right, right, right.
behind it. Same thing with Dame. Dame, his hip hop, right? Goodwill assist. Like he's going to get
Yeah,
a lot of that fan base too, and a lot of casuals that just tune into that. But it also goes with the promotion as well. Like when you start hyping up a player, like look, Halliburton has always been on outside of the play-in not playing, but outside of the in-season tournament, Pacers only had one national TV game. But because of that, that hype and what he's been doing and the highlights that go behind it, it's understandable why he's gotten the fan vote and why he's able to accelerate. But let's start off with the East, man. All right, I like this list. I think a lot of these guys are deserving. I'm happy that Randall made it because he has been balling out this year. I thought that was a little shock due to the injury, but I'm happy that he made it. Definitely not going to play in it. He's going to be swapped in with somebody else. I want to get your thoughts and opinions on who you think should replace him. But I like Donovan Mitchell for what he's done this season. He's been going berserk, just averaging over 30. Yeah. Maxey, we know his rise and start him out in Philly. He's been a big catalyst after losing James Harden. Jaylen Brown, you know what it is. It's the Boston Celtics tandem. The Jays out there. Paulo, who's been just so impactful for a team that can't even shoot the three ball. He's still able to get his. Bam, we know how much of a defensive free anchor he is for the Heat. And the starters make sense. Like I can't, like I said, the only gripe I have is with Dame, but Embiid, MVP caliber season. Giannis is up there too. Tatum, we already know what he is for the Celtics and how impactful he is. It just makes sense for the East. What are your thoughts about everybody else on that roster?
Yeah, I think it's good, but I do definitely want to get it right to the snub, man. I got to get
into okay.
It.
All right, let's get right into it.
Trae Young, man. Trae Young. And I know it's been a big conversation in the Knicks fan TV community, who's better, Jalen Brunson or Trae Young. But two things could be true. Jalen Brunson is better than Trae Young. Jalen Brunson deserves to start, but Trae Young definitely deserves to be a reserve. 27 points per game, second in the league when it comes to assists. You talked about Halliburton. He's number 2. The defense has been better. I mean, what this guy could do at 6 feet tall, not the greatest athlete, with these kind of eye-popping numbers, he deserves to be an NBA All-Star. I know the team hasn't been that good, but the efficiency has improved this season. He's even having a better offensive season than last year when he was an All-Star, and a better defensive season as well. So I know the East is stacked, but I think Trae Young definitely needs to be All-Star. It's unfortunate that Randall and Embiid might not be in this game, but I think he should definitely take one of those spots and be an NBA All-Star for this 2024.
Okay, I hear you. I mean, there's some other names in the East that we can go down. I mean, would you put Trae Young over your guy Scotty Barnes? I mean, Scotty Barnes is having quite a season, man. Would you put Scotty over Trae Young, or would you still keep it Trae? Because Trae, as an individual, having a great season. So is Scotty, and you can see that the coaches really factored in winning for the reserves. But would you put Scotty based on his jump, or are you just taking Trae because of his establishment already on that Hawks team?
Yeah, I think Trae is currently a better player with better stats. But like, if I'm taking one player for the rest of their career, I'm going with Scotty. But for this season, I think Trae deserves to be an All-Star over Scotty.
Okay. And there's some other names out there. I mean, you can talk about Kristaps, who's having a good season with the Celtics too.
Yeah.
You could have who else? You got Derek White, who's got a lot of praise, although some will say he's a snub. I know he's playing really well. I wouldn't go in that direction just because.
You know what the Derek White is? Like, let's be real about this, Alex. The Derek White thing is like, I watch basketball. Let me see if you watch basketball. So I'm going to say Derek White is an all-star so you can know I'm watching basketball. It's one of those takes. Like, he's not really an all-star. Let's be honest. He's not. He's not an all-star over Trae or Scotty Barnes, in my opinion. So, no. Derek White is...
I get what you're saying that I watch basketball and that's why. But even if you watch basketball, you would know that even that type of take is like, that's a little bit of a stretch, because you can say that he's good because,
but you got to admit it's one of those takes like, oh, I know basketball, so I'm gonna let you know that I think Derek White, he's not. He's just
absolutely
not.
No, but that's what I'm saying. It's like, it's showing that you watch a lot of basketball to know how important he is to that Celtics team.
100%.
But then you also got to say, like, I also know he's not all-star material because he's a product of the environment. Like, let's keep it a buck.
He's what, the 4th or 5th guy on that team?
I mean, honestly, it could circulate between him being the 3rd, 4th, 5th, depending on whose night.
Yeah. I mean, come on, it's the Double J's team, and then
I'm just saying. I only say that not because I know it's. I'm just saying for Jaylen Brown, this year has been a little bit up and down for him, and that's just because adding KP to the mix and just the constant hot potato between it's Tatum's going to get his. And then it's like, is it going to be a KP night? Is it going to be a Brown night? Is it going to be a Derek White night? Is it going to be a Drew night? That's the only reason I say, like, he's not a 2. Like, I would always put it to Brown as being that second guy, but I think 3 to like 5, like, he could circulate depending on the night.
Yeah, I mean, the defense is very impactful. Him and Drew Holiday, the best defensive backcourt in basketball. The shooting has been really good this season, but still, like, I just don't think he's an all-star player, even though his impact has been immense.
No, that's just as you said, Andrew. It's just like I watch basketball.
Yeah, yeah.
Eric White is that good? I'm like, please,
Yeah,
let's
he's
relax.
good. He's very good. He's just not an all-star. Some guys aren't an all-star. It's okay.
My man, if he was this, if he, like he has improved as a player,
Yeah.
3 point shooting, defense. I mean, the 3 point shooting alone has just been so big change for him. But if he was like that, Spurs would have kept him for that reason.
Yeah. Look, if you want to have that energy for Derek White, have that energy for James Harden.
That's also a fact. So we're keeping with the East though. Would you put a Miles Turner? Would you put Jared Allen in that? Because I see some of those names flying around. I'm not really like Jared Allen. I don't know. I'm not like. I think the center position has just been so. It's tough to really argue because unless you have an offensive game like Jokic or even Embiid and even Bam, like it's really hard for me to say like someone like Jared Allen, just like he's a rim runner, man, like good shot blocker, rim runner. But I get the idea that how important he is to the Cavs team of being a shot blocker and just being a presence down low in the paint. Um, but I think more of like I think Bam, Embiid, Jokic, like even cat like bigs who can really stretch the floor offensively. That's what they're looking for. Like a defensive, like you're not even seeing Rudy Gobert in this. Like Rudy Gobert, who's all-star worthy, but then they're like, wait a minute, like all-star purposes, like just around the rim. Is that what we really need? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, look, like we talked about this before off the record. Like you think Ihart's better than Miles Turner.
I do.
So I mean, Ihart's not an all-star. He's
Now
playing
it's on the record, thanks to you.
My fault. My fault. Was that supposed to be confidential?
No, it's all good. It's all good. I'll say it. I think iHeart's better than Miles Turner.
So yeah, I mean, like we all know, iHeart has been great. A big reason why this Knicks team has been doing so well for his two-way impact, but he's not an all-star. And if we're even having that conversation, I mean, it shows that Miles Turner is not an all-star at this point, even though he's playing on a very offensively driven and great Indiana Pacers team.
For sure. And I see someone in the chat saying Kobe White for the Chicago Bulls. He's been playing much better this year, too. I think that's just tough. Once again,
And
it goes to the impact to winning.
most improved for sure. Should be in the mix for
Definitely,
that.
he's up there for most improved. I think
Yeah,
still
yeah.
Max is going to get that just because of, once again, you're talking about even like last night against the Utah Jazz. Maxi drops over 50 to help them win. That's just, to me, that screams a lot more in volumes, especially without Embiid, than what Kobe White's doing as an individual. I think individually, yes, I guess it's an individual award, but like when you have to include everything that goes with the team, I think it's going to be Maxi. But definitely, Kobe White should be up there for most improved and get some votes in there as well.
So,
So that
who's your biggest snub though? Like the one guy that you believe should be in there?
for the East,
Yeah. Do you agree it's Trey?
I think I'd probably go either Trey or I'd go KP. I
Yeah,
think I'm tied. I think I'm
KP's
tied
fair.
between those two just because KP's having a really good season. I probably wouldn't lean KP just because of the injuries, but I'd probably lean more so towards Trey just because individually, statistically, he's up there. It's like we know what he can do
Yeah.
outside of like Scotty Barnes. We know like the playoff performances and so forth. Scotty would be another good one though. Like I think I probably put if I had to rank it, I'd probably go Trey, KP, and then Scotty just because of
Fair.
the impact of winning.
I think I agree.
Yeah. So let's go over to the West now, Andrew, because so we already know the West. I think this is tough. This is tough. The West is honestly like, in my opinion, I think it's much more stacked in just players that could have been on this. I mean,
Mhm.
there's a team that's not doesn't even have one on there,
Yeah.
one All
Yeah.
Star,
Yeah, I know
and
that fan base is rabid. Like I'm pretty familiar with that fan base, and they're not going to be happy about this.
no, but the thing is, like, you look at it, and just reviewing for everybody, it's like you got Luka, KD, Shea, LeBron, Jokic. I mean, that all makes sense. Kevin Durant, even though the Suns, they're now doing better. They're sixth in the West. That team, like the winning streak is against teams that I wouldn't necessarily be hyped about if I was a Suns fan. I feel like you haven't really gotten a win that like very few of them are wins where I'm like, yeah, I really believe that this team's going to go further. And like you got your big three back, but Kevin Durant's a name, one of the best players to play the game. Makes sense. Same thing with LeBron James. Lakers are not doing well, but he's a name. He's going to make it. Jokic, MVP caliber candidate should be there. SGA, another MVP caliber candidate, should be there.
Yeah.
Luka, MVP candidate, definitely should be there. I have no gripes with how the starters are. You get Book, Steph, AD, Ant-Man, Paul George, Kawhi, Cat. Those are all great selections, man. But let's get to the snubs. I know that you're thinking the same team that I am. It's the Sacramento Kings. You don't have De'Aaron Fox. You don't have Domantas Sabonis. That team's a legitimately good team, but yet you couldn't get one. You couldn't get one. They're fifth in the West. You couldn't get one. I mean, I think out of anybody, I would thought De'Aaron Fox would have made it, and like as a reserve, because I think you could argue that Sabonis, I think, is a little tough just because of the bigs, because you're gonna have AD and Cat there. Also, you got Kawhi who's been playing power forward. I think that's tough, but this might be a little controversial. But it's like, is it like, does Steph really need to be there? Like, I know Steph Curry is a big name, but
Oh,
it's like that team's not doing well. You know what I mean? Like, I get how impactful he is. I get the star power, and that's why he's going to make it. But I would kind of think that Fox over Steph. That might be a hot take to some people, but
wow. I didn't like, I kind of like who they have, but I do believe that Sabonis is a big snub. I mean, leading the league in rebounding, the second best passing big in basketball, top 10 in field goal percentage on a top 5 team in the West. This guy is super underrated, and I think he definitely deserved to be in this All-Star game. It's really unfortunate. Kings fans always point to the fact that their team is overlooked, and you're just giving them proof here.
they are. What do you think though? What do you think of my Steph comment though? Do you think Steph? Because I get the All Star. I get the. I'm not saying that he's not All Star, but I feel like the Kings just like it's
That's a
hard, man.
s- that's a spicy take.
I mean, I get that it's spicy. I know you want all your stars there, but it's like
I think
at the end
I
of the
think
day.
I think Steph deserves to be in there over Cat.
Oh, so you're gonna look at Cat for Sabonis?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, Sabonis is just a better player, and he's having more impact for his team on winning. Even though Cat has been great, he's taken maybe a slight step back from the past. Obviously, they've been winning, so that matters for something. But I just think with Sabonis leading the league in rebounding, second best passing big in the league, top 10 in field goal percentage, and just their offensive hub. He's almost like their power forward and their point guard at the same time. I mean, he does a lot for them. He just fills so many gaps for that team, and I believe he should be in this All-Star game. Like Steph Curry is just a higher level player than Cat at this point, so I'd rather have Steph than Cat if we're going to
No, I
replace
think
somebody. Yeah,
no, I totally hear that. I think like for Cat, I can see that was for Sabonis for Cat. I feel like they're just going to look at it like offensively. He's been playing. This is like the best he's been playing. Like I think as a team player and defensively,
yeah, team player. Yep.
he turned it up this season. We just had John Krasinski who covers the Timberwolves for the Athletic, and he talked about Cat's improvement on defense, taking a little bit of step back right now, but he's played an overall better game this season, so it makes sense why he's in there next to his guy Ant. But I it's just tough, man. It's not even saying that Steph is not talented or anything like that, but I feel like I know why they did do this. There's a marketing aspect to it. There's a like he's a he's a legit superstar, great talent. There's no denying it. Um, maybe it's a Devin Booker. Do you snub Devin Booker and do you
I
put
s- I snubbed Devin Booker for James Harden.
James Harden? Wow. Well, that's too many. That's too many Clippers.
I mean, the Clippers second hottest team in the league besides your New York Knicks, right?
They are. They are. But it's also like it's so hard because that team it would have been good. They were good without him to
Were they
start the
this
season.
good? Were they even
Not
close?
this good, but they were still good to start without him. It was more so of a PG Kawhi thing.
I
Uh
mean, yeah,
I mean, he's like don't get me wrong. It's like I don't know. It's like saying, hey, like the Clippers is how it goes. This is how it is. Do you guys? It's like, do you want your Lamborghini or would you rather go to a Bugatti now? That's like how I'm thinking about it. Like that's the level of the change that you guys. It's like it's very minor change. It's still luxury, but that's how we'll get it for that team.
yeah. They
I think
they
Devin
they
Booker's
really
another.
they really needed a player like James Harden, and he's a former MVP for a reason. He makes a tough pass look effortless. He's been shooting over 40% catch and shoot. When you have isocentric players like Paul George and Kawhi Leonard, that's really important. Like I talked about, that's something he would need to work on, and he did. And they just needed a guy to manage the game, and who better than James Harden, a former MVP? Like I think he's playing at an all-star level, and it's a big reason why they've been so successful.
For sure, for sure. Maybe it is the Devin Booker for De'Aaron Fox. I would go.
Hmm. Who's having a better season in your opinion?
I mean, Fox is shooting the three ball really great this season. And if you look at it like what the Kings have to do, like Devin Booker's been holding it down for the Suns because of like the rotating injuries, but
You know what? Devin Booker is a better basketball player than Fox, but Fox is a better point guard.
I agree with that.
And Devin Booker has been having to do some of that because of all the injuries and the way the team has been set up. But I mean, it's tough, man. There's always snubs.
And this, like, the thing is, like, we're talking about snubs, and it's like, this is what I'm saying. The West is just so much more stacked. Like, some will also say Rudy
Yeah.
Gobert should have been in there. I'm like,
Nah.
I
Nah,
get
I
it.
mean, like he's so impactful defensively, and he's been looking more like Utah Jazz Rudy. But who could you take out for him? Nobody.
That's the thing. Like,
Yeah.
and look, this is the All-Star game. We want to see a lot of offense. We want to see shots going up. This is why they also wanted Cat out there. You know what I mean? Like, that's
Wait,
the other thing.
wasn't Rudy the last pick guy 1 year when they did like the picks?
I can't remember. I don't
I
even
think he
remember
was.
that.
In the chat, let us know. I think he was.
Okay.
Yo, remember when Jokic picked himself? He like,
I love Jokic, man. Jokic,
yo,
his
he's
personality
like,
is hilarious.
he's like, I'm not last. I'm just walking up to the stage.
For sure, for sure. Oh man. So let's keep this thing moving, man. Let's keep this thing moving. That's our All-Star segment. Salute to the NBA Nation for tuning in and tapping in today. Thank you for all tuning in for the NBA report. Salute to our sponsor, Prize Picks. Make sure to use that promo code NBAR to get up to a $100 match. Okay, Andrew, we had some games last night, my man. We had some games last night. We had the Celtics versus the Lakers. Lakers were in Beantown, and the Lakers, without Anthony Davis and LeBron James, decide to say, you know what, Austin Reeves, you take the keys for tonight. Let's see what's going to happen. And the Lakers decided to turn up and defeat a fully healthy Boston Celtics last night and run away with the show. So you had Austin Reeves, who dropped 32 points. You had a good showing from D'Lo as well. Lakers just showing that maybe they do have it's not saying that they're not talented, but maybe they do have enough talent for this team to be good, and should be better where they are. Celtics, these losses happen. That's how Joe Mazzulla is looking at it. It's like, hey, these losses are going to happen. It is what it is. But I thought it was a very interesting win for the Lakers last night, not having Anthony Davis and LeBron James on the court. What are your thoughts about that game?
Yeah, I mean, it's always interesting when you see teams lose their star players and they play even better. It's like it's a very interesting paradox, and I think there's a few reasons for it. Often the ball moves better for that one game. Sometimes the defense has nothing to focus on, so they lose focus altogether. And then you have, it's human nature. You let your guard down a little bit when you see AD and LeBron not playing. But Austin Reeves was absolutely incredible. And don't forget about D. Russell's 14 assists. He's been playing great lately. And, the D. Russell, Austin Reeves minutes are looking good. I mean, everybody's talking about who's better than who. Maybe you have to trade one of them, but maybe they're a dynamic duo. So great win for the Lake Show.
This is where, like, sometimes maybe you get to see, what is actually on the team when you don't have to constantly have the basketball in LeBron James's hand or Anthony Davis' hand. So,
right. But we also do know that they will not do as good in the playoffs without these two guys. So it's a one game.
That's not a question.
And the aggregators on YouTube might go at me like he's saying they're better without LeBron and AD. So
that's not what we're saying here. To all you aggregators who like to chop everything up and fit your narrative, that's not what we're saying here. But in these cases for the Lakers, look, sometimes you need to, like, it's the same thing for the Knicks. We're going to discuss them next. But when you miss players like LeBron or Anthony Davis, it gives guys opportunities to step up, show what they can actually do when they have the rock in their hands, or just be part of a rotation. And when you watch guys like, when you watch D'Lo, who can get you 14 assists, when you start to see that, hey, the D'Lo Reeves thing, maybe it's not as big an issue as everyone's making it seem, then you get to say, hey, maybe we got to think about how we frame these trades differently and how we go and approach the deadline. Because if you're going to get that from these two guys, as you mentioned, 14 assists, 16 points, 14 assists, that's nothing to sniff at. And then you have Jackson Hayes, who's tapping another 16 points and 10 rebounds. You could say, okay, we got some rotational guys here. How do we make sure that there's a good balance between what LeBron has to do and the rest of the team has to do, and Anthony Davis, and you could possibly move forward for them as well.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, this team has a chance. Like, people are talking about trade LeBron. It's getting crazy out here.
Can we talk about that for a second? Can we please talk and please get the New York Knicks out of your mouth for trading for LeBron? Okay, I do not. And it's always weird. I see, the Knicks have to trade Julius Randle, Evan Fournier to go get LeBron James. I'm like, why is it
But
us.
we've been praising Brunson. We got to praise Randall. Three
That's what
All-Star.
I'm saying.
Yo,
Like, what are we doing here?
the New York Knicks. How many players do they have in the history of the franchise that have 3 All-Star appearances as a New York Knick?
It hasn't been since, when you had Allen Houston on the team. So, this and Melo, you know what I mean?
Melo, yeah,
Like Melo
Melo,
was
yeah,
like the last guy, I should say.
yeah. So
Um,
trade him.
but
Just this is going great. What do you mean trade these guys?
yeah, that's so like when I see that, and we're gonna talk about the Knicks next, like I said, but like when I see
Yeah,
trading Randall and Fournier when everybody else is like giving up nothing for LeBron James to the team, like why is it? What does the Knicks have to pay for? Like we're fine. Don't even include the Knicks in needing LeBron James right now. I like where they are as a
yeah.
team.
Trade picks
But
if you have to, but not too. Don't trade too many of the players away.
yeah,
Yeah,
but like you look at the Lakers, they're now 500 after last night's win, and I don't understand why you're even thinking about trading LeBron James. And if that rumor is even like, if the Lakers traded LeBron James, that is just like then you have truly failed in building around one of the greatest players in all time and maintaining some competency. And like even after last year, right? They won a championship with him and AD in the bubble. You make it to the Western Conference Finals after you started poorly. You had to trade Russ and rebuild this team and shapeshift this team, which was good by the trade deadline. This team's not far out of it. They just gotta like, I don't know. There's just something in that locker room that they just need to like work on and just figure out where they don't have to be over reliant on their stars and just keep everybody involved. Because at times when I watch, it's just too much on like LeBron James and Anthony Davis, where you could move that rock around.
yeah. I mean, you have to keep somewhat of an elevated perspective when you're looking at the Lakers, and you can't go so much game by game. I know that's impossible when it comes to big markets, right? Like New York or LA. Like you just get so crazy off every individual game. Look, are they the title favorites? Absolutely not. But when you have a LeBron James playing even better than last season, like the shooting is better, he looks healthier. And then LeBron, and then AD, his two-way impact is immense at times. I know it's the in-season tournament, and everybody wants to joke about the banner, but we saw what they could be in that. We saw what AD was in that championship game for that title. So, look, man, like they know how to. Those two guys could raise your ceiling so high it could lead you to a championship. Now, is it probable? No, but this is what you got to go with. Never count a LeBron James team out.
You can't. And I see Deb in the chat saying Alex LeBron, even at his age, he's still a great player. Yeah, I know he's a great player, but for the Knicks, like we're giving up. Like I'm just saying from the trade stuff that I've seen, why do we have to give up the good player and everybody else is like giving up scraps to go get LeBron James? That's my point.
Yeah,
But
and
still, like I still like the way the team is constructed for the Knicks that I wouldn't do because when you have LeBron James on your team, it's a totally different dynamic.
it doesn't make sense for either team.
No, it doesn't. Not at
Yeah,
all.
yeah, yeah.
Not at all. But then looking on the other side for the Boston Celtics, I know you're ready for this one. I know you're ready to talk about Tatum and what Tatum should have done against a LeBron-less team. Like, are you concerned? Because I keep saying this when and I talk like living out here in Boston, and it's just funny to listen to Celtics fans like, oh, we're gonna be fine, we're gonna be fine, we're gonna be fine. And it's like, I don't know, guys. Like, you guys need some you guys like to coast a lot during the regular season. Then when you're asked to step up for a big challenge, it's like it's not there. And like for a night like this, I feel like you just start to see that Celtics like, oh, we're really good. We'll turn it on when need be. I don't know, man. I don't know.
Maybe they need a heart transplant. Come on, bro. You got to
You
win
say
that
they don't have
game.
enough heart on that team. You say
I'm
all of
not.
them is really talented, but they're just like, it is what it is.
I don't know, man. Like Jason Tatum, I'm not going to say Jason Tatum is soft, right? I'm not going to say that, but I don't really think of heart when I think of Jason Tatum either. And, that's their best player. I mean, he's obviously greatly talented, but we have to see the consistency in the playoffs and in meaningful games. And it starts here. You can't just turn the switch on when the playoffs come. Like you got to go. You're not even. It's not even like a repeat team. Like you didn't win one yet. Where's this complacency coming from? You know what I mean? Like I
Yeah.
understand. I understand this somewhat if you won it last year, and there's a few games here and there where you take the pedal off the metal, but you didn't win your first one yet.
He
Come
hasn't won
on.
his first one.
Yeah.
The team hasn't won their first one. You gave Jalen Brown the bag, and Tatum's gonna be up to get a bag bigger than Brown's and I think it's this season actually they're gonna have to pay him, which that's gonna be comical when I see the books and how you felt the rest of that roster. But you look at the Celtics, very good team. I just don't like in a game, like I get what Missoula is saying. Like there's gonna be games where you drop the ball, and there's moments like even an undermanned team will just rise to the occasion and beat a really good team. And maybe they're taking them lightly, but and they're already first in the East right now. They have a nice cushion between they have a 4.5 game. They're 4.5 games above the Celtics, six five above the Knicks. But even still, like you'd still think that on your own home court, the Lakers not having their two superstars on the court, that you can just go out there and get the job done, and you don't want to lose in any sort of fashion. Like this is a big game for TNT. This is what they always promote. I'm just shocked that with how this team is, that you can even allow that to happen. And for a guy like Tatum, who, look, we have the quote saying that KP is his pal to, I guess, to his Kobe, which honestly, I'm getting a little, you're rolling your eyes. I'm getting a little tired of these Kobe references from Tatum, because Kobe would earn it. Kobe would like do it and show up when needed. And it's like you keep referencing Kobe, and I get the relationship that you have with Kobe, but it's like it's a little bit more oomph when we're talking about Kobe and Powell. And I don't consider KP to be anything like Powell.
Can we see one chip before the Kobe comparisons? At least one, right? Come on, Tatum, get it together. Another thing is like we talk about the effort and the heart, but Alex, like, how much do you believe? Like, we know it's a miss or make league, right? Make or miss league. I mean, when they're winning, Tatum is just shooting a lot better when he's going to his off the dribble threes, and he's been hunting those. Like he's making them at some points, and now he's in a stretch in the season where he's not making them. And I struggle to believe that you could go through a hot streak of 16 straight wins in the finals. Like you're going to have off shooting nights. So I just think he's hunting those off the dribble threes way too much. And, it helps the team at times, but I don't think that's something you could do to be absolutely consistent over the course of a playoffs and a finals. So I think he has to, I know they're an analytic based team, but I do think he needs to change his shot profile up a little bit.
I agree with that. And he's improved his game, but it's still like, I don't know. It's like, even when I was at games last year and before they got KP, I watched Josh Hart defend Tatum in that double overtime game, and he deterred Tatum from getting to the cup. And I'm like, if you're allowing Josh Hart to be that physical with you and to change your game that much, then are you really that guy? Because you should still want to get to those areas. That's where you've improved. That's where your team needs to get you to go. That's how you are able to create for others when you get downhill and can just kick it out. And he still doesn't do that.
Yeah, like I know some would argue.
I'm sorry. It's not that he does do that, but it's the fact that when he has a greater challenge, like defensively, he decides to pull back and like rely heavily on the three or his jump shot instead of trying to get to his spots where he should be going.
That's why I like SGA better. Like, I think there's two different things, like your skill set and how well you shoot it, and then deciding what shot to take. And I feel like SGA has a better shot profile, and it's been proven. Like, he's been more consistent in terms of field goal percentage. Maybe the highs haven't been as high, but Tatum's lows are way lower when it comes to like comparing like him and an SGA, because SGA knows when to take each, like they call it a 3-level score. Like he knows when to get to the rim. He knows when to get in his mid range, and he knows when to take that step back three. And I feel like Tatum isn't doing a great job of deciding what level to shoot at. He's often just hunting tough twos and tough threes.
You know what it is? It's because Tatum has a very pretty game. It is sometimes.
Well, so does SGA though.
He does. SGA is very good at getting to his spots, and no one can stop him. It's like what I love about Brunson. It's like Brunson.
Yeah.
Brunson gets to his spots, and it like that's something for like superstars. Like if you can get to your spots and not let the defense deter you, that takes you up a whole other level. That's why sometimes when he talks about Kobe, I'm like, Kobe still got to his spots. Like Kobe didn't let the defense deter him. Like it was much more of a challenge, but he worked just twice as hard to make sure that he got to his spots to help his team out. Right. And so I think like when I watch Tatum, and it's always funny, like my wife and I will go to these games. She's like, oh, his game, like, look at that. It's like so pretty. I'm like, I know it's very pretty. But like when we get down to like the nitty gritty of it, it's like, is he doing it when you really need it to be done? And it's so funny, Andrew, because you would love this chat right now. You have Devin here saying he'd say it for you, Andrew. Tatum soft.
That's what he said. Wait, read the exact chat.
The exact chat here. Where is it? Where is it? Because you're like, you said you wouldn't call him soft. Deb just comes in here and says, "I'll say it. He's soft," and gives a laughing tear emoji.
That's pretty funny. That's pretty funny. Oh man, yeah. I mean, come on, you got to impose
Here's a
your
good
will.
one. Here's a good one, Andrew. Hold on. Here's a good one because where is this? Joey Diaz. Shout out to you. He says Tatum, I don't think is a 1A guy. Honestly, he'd be taking some. We don't need that shots.
That's a fact. He's right. I mean, look at this. Like we talk about Tatum being so skilled. Where's that post skill set? Like Jalen, you just mentioned Jalen Brunson. Jalen Brunson at his size is one of the best post players in the NBA. I would say it's like Doncic, Jokic, and Brunson, and then SGA is right in there as well. Like Tatum, you have to incorporate some of that in your game, and you have to get to the rim in certain situations, not just hunt tough twos and tough threes off the dribble, tough shot. I know that's like what it's all about in modern skill development, like 48 dribble combinations into tough shots. But, basketball is different than skill development. Don't be good at skill development for the sake of skill development. Be at skill development for the sake of basketball.
So it's NBA Nation for tuning in for another show of the NBA Report. It is me, Alex Terrace, aka the Stratocast, with my guy Andrew Salb, aka the 1-2 combo. We're talking about the Lakers and Celtics game, but now we got to move on to the Knicks Pacers game. And for all you Celtics fans, if you're tuning in, just stay for the dose of reality. Okay, that's what we're just trying to do here. We're just trying to give you a dose of reality. But let's talk about the Knicks Pacers now. Talk about that game last night. I mean, we had like what felt like a 2 to 3 hour show yesterday. Everyone's jumping out the window. Knicks are on a 9-game winning streak. They came from being down most of the game towards the Indiana Pacers. I know Halliburton was on a minutes restriction, but you didn't have Julius Randle, no OG Anunoby, no Quentin Grimes. We all know Mitchell Robinson is out, but yet all those guys were out. No problem for Jalen Brunson and the rest of the crew. They came back in the fourth quarter to win the game, and it was just a gritty effort. You had the Knicks who were abysmal from the field. They shot under 40% from the field. I think they shot 21% from three. Yeah, they shot 21% from three, while the Pacers were still with their high octane offense, shooting 45% from the field, shooting 40% from three. And so the Knicks were just able to grind this one out, getting rebounds and relying on the rest of the guys to have impactful moments throughout the game to win this one, with Brunson just closing it out. Good game for the Knicks. Andrew, what were your thoughts about last night's game?
I always defer to you when it comes to Knicks, but my biggest takeaways are, I heart shouts to Mitch, speedy recovery, but this has been a blessing in disguise with his two-way impact. You think you might lose something defensively, but team defensive awareness, he's just on point. Like he breaks up plays. He's been great on the defensive side. And then I feel like when you have two isocentric players, I know Randall has been out. Like, I think he fits these guys better than Mitch offensively for his ability to pass the ball. He's rebounding just as well as Mitch. He had 19 last night. I think it's been a revelation that DiVincenzo, he's what a modern day hustle guy has to be, because he's not only a super hustle guy, but he's skilled as well. And that's what you need to be in the NBA. Like in the old NBA, you could kind of just be a hustle guy and get away
Like your
with
Charles
not being,
Oakley's.
yeah. Like you could kind of get away with not being skilled, but in the modern NBA, your hustle guy has to be skilled as well. And he's just been so comfortable. He's been an undeniable talent since college. So I don't want to like make it seem like he's like a guy that came out of nowhere. Like everybody on it, like I talked to players that play with him in college, and they know right when he stepped into Villanova, he was an undeniable NBA talent. So super talented with the hustle is a great combination. And I feel like he's in a great rhythm right now playing with the Nova Knicks.
Absolutely. The Nova Knicks, as you said, the Nova boys are at it again. Look, you have Josh Hart, who's been impactful on the boards. You have Dante DiVincenzo being that secondary distributor off of Brunson and being able to knock down threes. Even though he didn't shoot well from the field last night, Dante was still had an impactful game, hit critical shots when needed. And then obviously Brunson just doing the damn thing. When I look at the Knicks, man, I get it. Like Dante's that guy. Like right now, he's been playing really well. I agree with you. Like he's a talent. I like what he's showing. When this team is healthy, I like to see him get the opportunity to run that second unit. Everyone's talking about, do you need a Brogdon? And actually, we had a dual discussion. Like, do you go with Brogdon? Do you stand pat with what you have at this team? I'm looking at it as like right now, because the names that are floating out there. It's a Brogdon. It's a Burks. Brogdon, you're not sure if he's always going to be healthy by the time postseason comes. When you look at somebody like Alec Burks' familiarity with it, he's a great isolation scorer, especially on his time here. He was in that 99th percentile as an isolation scorer. But then I look at the opportunities that you give these guys on the roster, like McBride. You give Dante, who, you see he's taking 26 shots a game. You need somebody to put up shots next to Brunson. He's gladly slid into that role. And the last two games prior to this one, shot really well against the Jazz, against the Hornets, not against the Pacers. But still, you see that you have to honor his shot. He can do some creation when he drives the lane. He gets those opportunities. And for me, when I watch Dante, I'm just like, if you give this guy the opportunity to run that second unit, maybe we're okay just staggering some minutes and just getting more time, because prior to Randall's injury and all these guys, he was only getting like somewhere between 18 to like 20 minutes per game. Now he's getting 38 because it's needed. And when I watch him out there, I'm like, this guy should be getting more minutes than he does. Why not let him run with the second unit if we're looking for a secondary guy who can create? Why? I think that could just solve the internal issue. And then you give guys like McBride the opportunity to continue to shoot well or just play well and let them grow and develop. What are your thoughts about that?
So, like with the Brogdon thing, we could go to the Knicks fan TV page. I mean, it's Evan Fournier and a first and second round pick. I mean,
that was my trade scenario. That's what I said. That's what I said.
I mean, if that's the scenario, you go with Brogdon. Like I understand if Portland like wants a McBride or something on top of that, maybe you think about it. But
so
yeah,
here's the issue. Here's the issue with that is that the only guys you can trade right now are only Quentin Grimes and Evan Fournier. So that's the only two, those are the only two guys. And it's not because like they want to keep, not necessarily because they want to keep McBride. McBride got the extension, so he's ineligible. You can't trade Achua unless it's just by himself. Same thing with Malachi Flynn. They're not trading OG, and then the rest 100%. Of the guys they're going to keep. So like if they have to combine players, it's only a Grimes and a Fournier trade that's going to happen.
So, yeah, I mean, if this is the trade, you have to go with it, in my opinion. Like Evan Fournier, first and second, you're doing so well this season. Yeah, you're leveraging a bit of your future, but I think these Nova guys are going to want to stay together moving forward, right? Randall, we talked about it, 3 All-Star games. Like, why is he going to want to go anywhere in the future? Like, I think all these guys could make a pact together. I know it's always business that we're going to stay together, and it's okay if we leverage a little bit of our future to bring in the 6th man of the year. Like you're bringing in the 6th man of the year. And I know people will say like in Portland, he's just been okay. I've seen him take over games in overtime, namely against the Brooklyn Nets. I watched that game, absolutely took over fourth quarter, knocked everything down. Like like how I said the Miami Heat should bring in an MVP, former MVP in James Harden. They should have done that. And we'll see what he's doing for the Clippers. And that wasn't MVP last season. This guy was 6th man of the year last season on an already hot Knicks team. I think that makes you legit title contenders.
I wouldn't be upset if they did that move. Like I said this earlier today. Shout out to the guys over at Morning Brew. Like if you were telling me that we either stand pat and we continue to do what we do, or we get somebody like a Brogdon or Burks, I think it's a win-win scenario either way. You either keep all your assets going into the offseason to go make another move. You give that opportunity for like guys like McBride, Ashua, everybody else to raise their stock value, where you can move those guys in a bigger deal. At the same time, if you go out and get somebody like Brogdon because you believe that you have a great shot right now where you don't have to do that much tinkering to the roster, I also understand doing that too. So that's how I feel about those moves. But I got to talk to you about this one.
Okay.
Brunson, MVP chance in the Garden last night. Rightfully so. This guy was just surgical in the fourth quarter. I mean, he's always surgical. All right. How he gets to his spots, the footwork, the pump fakes, the ability to use his strength to push guys off. Like, it doesn't matter who the opponent is. I seen him push Miles Turner in the paint using his body. Yeah. And when you just watch Brunson and how he's elevated this team, now you're talking about all these injuries last night, and you just continuously see how he just makes an impact and just gives you a chance to win. Like, I get like Jeter vibes when I watch him play for the Knicks. I'm just like, he deserves to be in this MVP consideration. He deserves to be up there with SGA, Luka, because when you watch games like last night, without him, you're not winning. And even when the team's fully healthy, without him, I remember games where it's just even Randall and Alec Burks or Derrick Rose, like, it's questionable if you would win. Every time you have Brunson out there, there's a really good chance that if it comes down and you need 2 points or 3 points, he's going to knock it down. Yeah. And so with that, and he's not afraid of the moment either. I think he deserves to be in the MVP consideration for how he's elevated this team. This team is third right now. They're on a 9-game winning streak. You're going to face the Los Angeles Lakers on Saturday. Like, he definitely deserves to be in the MVP consideration and get some nominations. Not saying that he would win.
Right.
Not saying that but he definitely deserves to get some votes and some nominations.
I totally agree. No OG, no Julius, no problem. Drops 40, MVP chance in the post game interview. I mean, this guy is what New York's all about, right? Like, the heart, the grit, and then you put the skill level on top of it. Just absolutely fantastic. I told you, one of the best post players in the NBA for a guy's his size, just phenomenal. 3-level scorer. Actually made like with all the scoring ability, he actually made Julius a better player, right? Like, so he has the game managing stuff on top of that. Like, what can't this guy do? And I definitely agree. Like, he's in the MVP mix. Who is it? It's definitely Jokic. It's definitely Embiid, even though he's had an injury, SGA, Luka, and he's right in there, top 5 in my opinion. So definitely in the MVP combo. Do I think he'll win it? Maybe not, but he should be in the conversation for sure.
He should definitely be in the conversation. And even if it's not like maybe he does have the chance to win it one year, you know what I mean? But like it starts now by showing like how much of an impact he is, and winning will always
Yeah.
help accelerate that. And when I see like Luka, and this is not to disparage Luka and his talent, but you got to just compare where the teams are, right? Like when you look at the standings and you see that the Knicks are third in the Eastern Conference. I mean, we're talking about surpassing the 76ers. They don't have Embiid, but they're falling, and the Knicks still thriving, right? You talk about where they were to begin, having a tough road stretch. Now they're dominating at home. I mean, how can you not have this guy in consideration? They're a half a game behind the Milwaukee Bucks at this point. They're a half a game behind the Milwaukee Bucks, and I think if you're looking at impact and where the Knicks are for last year, where they were just a 5th seed team, right, and they got hot at the right time after making the Josh Hart trade. They're hot after making the OG trade. Yes, it's helped open up everything for guys like Brunson, but still, he was been getting his own, and he's been helping this team stay relevant and competitive this season.
Yeah. I don't know if I'd have him higher than Luka Doncic on the MVP ladder. Luka Doncic is a more talented player, a bigger player, but at this point, Jalen Brunson is definitely a better leader than Luka Doncic, and the way he led this New York Knicks team this season is absolutely incredible. I think Knicks fans should definitely enjoy the moment, no matter what goes on from here on out. Like, it's just been a phenomenal season and a phenomenal run for Brunson, and he deserves to be an All-Star starter and definitely in the MVP convo.
For sure. I mean, here's the thing. Like, if we're talking about like where it should be, and you have guys like Jokic should be up there because of just the talent. We know that what the Nuggets are doing. They're just coasting at this point. They can coast. They're able to
Best
coast.
player. He's just the best player in the league.
Yeah, best player. Like it's
Yeah.
just a big separation,
Yeah.
especially what he
Yeah.
does for being a center.
Right.
But like the Mavericks are 8th right now. They're 26-2, and I get that the Western Conference stacked, but then you could talk about like Kawhi's up there. I understand how the season that he's having, but it's also a stacked team. Like I think when you put everything into consideration, like where the New York Knicks are, like it's a very well built team. Everyone complements each other very well, more close to what the Nuggets do. Like and saying like how they're well built. Like you have your one guy, you have your two guy. Like it's Brunson. Like you got Jokic and Murray. It'd be like Brunson, Randall, and then you fill in with all the role players that help them make them look great, and vice versa. And I just feel like the way that that's built, that is more impressive to me than necessarily saying, hey, yo, we got Russ, we got, Kawhi, PG, we got Harden. Like that's overkill, and they should all be great because they're great talents. I mean, you have an MVP caliber candidate in James Harden on that team, right? And so in the finals MVP with Kawhi, but I think just for like the context of where it all is, like that's impressive to me.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned the fit and comparing it to Denver. I mean, the OG move was so huge in that regard. Like, I don't think OG is that much. He's better than RJ, but I don't think he's that much better than RJ. I just think he fits the Knicks way better than RJ, and he actually fits the modern NBA way better than RJ
I
because
mean,
his
RJ's having a good season right now since
yeah,
he
no,
put in
yeah,
with the Raptors.
yeah,
Like
no,
his efficiency's gone up.
like player wise is close, but in terms of fit for the New York Knicks,
It's
OG
just
is
different.
clearly a better fit, and we see it
And the thing is, like, that's the thing about the NBA too, right? It's not necessarily talent; it's how do they all
100%.
fit together. Like, fit is so important on a team. You
Yeah,
can't just throw everybody; and everything's going to work out. And we see that. We see the difference between having Quick and RJ, who are both talented players. Not saying they're scrubs; they're talented players. But you see what they're doing on the Toronto Raptors. That's a better fit for them. And same thing with OG, rather than being next to guys who all work in the same area as him, like Siakam, OG. You have Scotty, who they all work in that same range. And it's like it's just Sometimes it's too cluttered. You need to have the right spacing, the right fit, and things
100%.
decide to change.
It's
So,
actually not like the NBA is not the top 400 players. There's incredibly talented players that don't have a roster spot because they don't fit around the league's best players the way some like elite role players do, right? Like if you're a 6'2" bucket getter, you're gonna have less spots than a guy who's like 6'8" and can slide his feet and hit threes.
I mean,
So
look,
yeah,
let's bring up Dante DiVincenzo. Like he
right,
was a
right.
guy coming off the bench on the Warriors. You could just think he's just a bench player moving forward. Comes to the Knicks, you put him at that starting shooting guard position, totally has changed the outlook of how he looks in his career. You're like, oh, this
100%.
guy's a
It's
legitimate
all
starter instead of just a
yeah,
bench guy.
yeah.
Role player, but you could say, oh, we could put him into that starting rotation and we get some great contribution out of him.
I totally agree. Yeah, he's been great.
Salute to NBA Nation. Thank you all for tuning in for another episode of the NBA Report. It is me, Alex Terrace, aka the Tradcast, with my guy Andrew Solid, the 1-2 combo. All right, let's get to this last topic, Andrew, which is Joel Embiid. Let's like we see the torn meniscus. He's gonna miss some time. What are you making out of this Embiid? Like, first of all, I feel bad for him just because he's
Yeah.
been having an incredible season, all the injuries, and I know the conversation is, oh, and there's a line between actual injury and load management, and I feel like he's had a lot of legitimate injuries where it's like why he's missed games. He's not. It's not that he doesn't want to play, but it's just it stinks because he's had to overcome so many injuries in his career, and yet while doing that, he's always improved every single season. So it's just tough to see that he's going through another injury again.
Yeah, is it time to shut Embiid down for the season? I mean, it's a tough question to answer right now because we don't know his timetable. They're saying but a meniscus is usually like if you have the surgery is 6 to 8 weeks, why shut him down for the season? Like if he could come back, come back. It doesn't like we don't even know with the amount of injuries that he has how long his NBA career is going to be. So to shut him down for a whole season, like this is his prime. It makes no sense to shut him down, in my opinion.
I don't I don't understand why we're having this conversation of shutting him down right now, to be honest with you. Like, we don't
Yeah,
even know the extent of it. They're just saying, like, he's resting the entire weekend. Let him go get the evaluation. Let them figure it out what they want to do. There's sometimes where you can just play on the meniscus and then get the surgery later.
yeah.
You know what I mean? But like, I know it depends on the grade of the injury, as you noted, but I think it's way too early to make these type of proclamations where, rest him for the season, call the Sixer season done and just wrap it up, or let Maxey and whoever figure it out. Or that's just crazy in my opinion, man. Like, he's having a great season. Sixers were having a great season while he's healthy. Figure it out. And honestly, I would not shut him down, because if you're telling me that you can take time off right now during the middle of the season, he can come back, be serviceable for the playoffs, you can still go make some noise. I don't see the point of right now, February 2nd, we're shutting Embiid down for the regular season.
Yeah, no, it makes no sense. It makes no sense. I mean, who shuts down an MVP candidate that could play? And what are you waiting for in the offseason that's going to make you so different next year? Is there something like special coming in that we don't know about? Like, is there some hidden under the table deal? Like, this team could look similar next year. So,
And
yeah, it's like,
and my thing is, like, if you're trying to sell a free agent on coming to Philadelphia and playing with Embiid and Maxey,
yeah, show him he's healthy, you know?
don't you want to show that he's healthy? Like, don't
Yeah,
you want to say, it's not like, oh, well,
yeah.
if this happens again next season, we're just going to shut Embiid down because, whatever happens, happens. It's like that. If I was a free agent, I saw that, I'd be like, you know what? I don't want to go there. You're not a selling point at this point.
Yeah. Jay-Z once said about Nas, just because you can't understand him don't mean that he's nice. It's like this take is like that. Like just because you don't understand the take doesn't mean that it's right. Like it makes no sense, really. It just doesn't make sense. Like I've had knee surgeries, I've had a meniscus surgery. Like, it's 6 to 8 weeks, you come back and play. Like they're gonna be in the playoffs. Don't you want to see Embiid in the playoffs? Well, you
I
want
mean,
to
he has to prove himself in the playoffs still. You know what I mean? He has to get past that second
exactly.
round.
Exactly. You bring him back, if you want to bring him back slow on a minutes restriction, like this is a season in his prime. You don't want to take it away from him.
No, I get the concern that he's 30. I understand when you start factoring all the injuries and he's 30, but at some point, like, what are you going to do? Just call his, like, what, you gonna stop his career? Like I don't know. I think the bigger thing is the whole MVP consideration because he's like 5 games away at this point, missing the ability to win the award for the 65 game limit. What are your thoughts about that? Because I know everyone's talking about that. Like he's having an MVP caliber season. He should. This rule is like it's ridiculous. X, Y, and Z the third. I actually don't mind the rule. I think it's needed because he, MVPs should be able to play a lot of games to show their worth to the team. Because if you're missing, I mean, if you're missing time and the team's still winning, are you that much of an MVP to begin with?
Yeah, I think there's two different conversations here because I think it can be a rule. I'm not so upset at the rule. I think the crazy thing is when like the money is attached to the award. It's like like if Tyrese Halliburton could lose, 40 million because of this, because of the 65 game thing. Like if he's their franchise guy and he's going to be one of the best players in the league, he should be getting paid as much as he could possibly be getting paid, you know?
I mean, that's a whole other issue. This is, I mean, this is where, I
Awards,
mean,
awards an award, but if you're losing out on that type of money, like
that's the
that's
tough part.
great. That's crazy.
That's the tough part. And that's why I get it. That's why I have a tough time with like fan voting for All-Star because that's baked into the contract. Like Julius Randle, I think showed got like close to $2 million in bonuses because he made an All-Star appearance again.
Mm-hmm.
But stuff of that nature where you have to rely on a fan vote, like man, like say like you're Trey Young, right? Say like you're
Yeah,
KP, like
I'm
and you
I'm
miss,
tight. I'm tight right now. I'm
you're
mad.
upset because
Yeah,
that's extra cash that goes into your pocket. And same thing with like these awards, MVP, most improved, like they're great awards, but then money's tied to it. And it's not necessarily that money, like I can understand that for achieving something, but I think the bigger thing is like when you have voters like journalists or you have fans that are incorporated,
right.
that takes away because they're not thinking about the money, right? Not necessarily like maybe the voters for the all NBA and those awards are like it comes to the journalists maybe thinking more so like who should get the award. But like when you talk about All Star, like as a fan, like you're voting because that's who you want to see. You're not really thinking about how you're
Yeah,
impacting that player's like bag.
often it's an emotional choice more than a logical choice, right?
Right.
Which is kind of crazy way to dictate who's going to get paid what. It's crazy.
It's insane. It's insane. That's probably like the biggest thing is that like man. Like I get so hard because those you have to vote for them. Like someone like you can't just be like, oh well, who do you leave it up to make those selections? But the connection of like Clay, this was a Clay Thompson issue, right? He had a great season. I believe he didn't get All NBA one year, and then he didn't make one of the All NBA teams, and he missed out on getting that super max contract that he could have had. So
Yeah.
stuff like that. That's challenging.
Clay got a lot of chips on his shoulders. Like Kings fans, Clay has a lot of chips on his shoulders. He feels like he's been overlooked like the Kings fans.
Oh man, I guess the last thing we got to touch on before we get out of here is the Steven Adams news. According to Adrian Wojnarowski, Steven Adams was traded. If you're on the East Coast during the middle of the night, and I woke up to this, I'm like, what's going? I'm like trying to make sense of this trade myself. The trade is Houston landing Memphis setter Steven Adams for the 2024-2025 season, a trade that delivers the Grizzlies picks and cap flexibility. According to the details on the Houston picks to Memphis in the Adams trade are 2024 second round pick via OKC, a conditional 24 second round, most favorable of Brooklyn's own, protected between 55 to 58, and Golden State's own, protected 56 to 58, and a 2025 second rounder, more favorable of Houston's own. I mean, to me, it's like this deal happened. I don't even know. Like Steve Adams is not playing until next season, so I'm like for Houston, that's good. I just don't. What does that mean for Sangoon? I guess.
I don't know. I mean, they're gonna go move forward with Sengun. I actually think they're gonna build around Sengun.
I
Like,
think that's his team too. Like I just
yeah,
don't like if
they're
you're
gonna.
getting Adams. Like, what are you doing? Like, are you putting Sangoon at the 4? Is that what's happening over here?
I feel like he might be in another move or something.
Mm,
I feel like this might be more chess and checkers. We haven't seen
okay.
this play it out yet. But I don't know what backup big maybe.
I guess coming off the injury, he starts off as a backup big. I guess that
Yeah,
maybe, but it's just interesting because he was so impactful for Memphis. Not having him really just changed the
yeah,
outlook, and
yeah.
then that just stinks, man.
It almost like, man, you kind of thought of Steven Adams as like a staple. Like he was like, there's actually not a lot of enforcers in the NBA anymore,
He's
like
an
there were in the not.
enforcer.
Yeah, he's like one of the last enforcers left, and he fits so well with that, especially with Dylan Brooks not being there anymore. Like he fits so well with that team when everything was intact. And to see him gone, it's almost like, what's the direction of this Memphis Grizzlies team?
Yeah, for sure. And like without him, like he's good at setting screens,
Yeah,
awesome offensive rebounder.
yeah.
Um,
If
not having
anybody,
him,
if anybody touches Job, he touches them up. Like he was like
yeah,
his protector.
essentially that's the type of guy you want in your corner. That like
100%.
truly, truly, that's who you want in your corner. But Andrew, that wraps it up for the NBA report, man. Always great talking hoops with you. And salute to NBA Nation for tapping in once again. Make sure to support our sponsor, Prize Picks. Use that promo code NBAR to get up to a $100 match. Thank you all for tuning in. Hit that like button for your boy. Hit that thumbs up button for your boys. Sorry, hit that thumbs up button for your boys. Make sure to subscribe. Share these videos to everybody that you know so that way we can continue to grow this channel, the grassroots movement that is the NBA report. You already know what to do. And if you can't catch us live on the YouTube channel. You can always catch us on any audio listening platform, Apple, Spotify, whatever it may be. So make sure to tap in there. And if you want to be part of the NBA community, make sure to download the Discord or just go join the Discord, whether you want to use the web or the web app on your computer or you want to download the app on your phone. Make sure to join the community. Keep that basketball conversation going. We'll catch you later. Enjoy your weekend, everybody. We out.